Hey guys, I'm Kyle.
I'm Kennedy.
I'm Abby.
I'm Lydia.
I'm Gabby.
And I'm Riley.
And you guys are listening to the Mixed Messages podcast with the Sustainable Sisters Project. All right, so we're going to start this episode off. This is our 2020 review episode. We're going to be talking about the absolute disaster of madness that was the year of 2020, but also the beautiful growth that occurred in such a wild year for all of us, right? Because optimism.
I don't know if
is key.
45 minutes is enough.
Yeah, we're gonna have to sum this one up because everybody knows what happened. You know, they were there.
Yeah.
Kind of.
I would have preferred to be under a rock, but I was
exactly. All right, so obviously lockdown. How was everyone's early lockdown?
Oh God, early lockdown.
Um,
Oh, you know what?
Everybody's like, when? It feels the same.
So I tried to be productive and do what was I doing? I was looking into some colleges. I actually did the work that I had to do from the school because I felt bad not doing it, even though I didn't have to. So I got to deal with my pre-calc teacher trying to figure out how to teach online.
Oh yeah, Miss Horn was great though. She
Miss
did a good
Horn was
job.
great. That was one of the teachers that actually did her job during that time. Not trying to shame anybody or anything. Cough, cough. And I got better at some fingerstyle guitar.
Heck
And
yeah.
that's about it. We went insane because my parents and I were all in the same vicinity. My dad was sitting across from my mother in the front room, and I was in the kitchen, which is right off the front room, and it was just lovely spending time with my family for so long. And I'm grateful to have a loving family, but there's only so much time you can spend with them before you want to start throttling them.
Kennedy, how was your coronavirus lockdown?
Well, so
She said it all started when.
before everything happened, I was just moving places. It was constant movement. Like I had no time for myself. It was like I didn't even have time to breathe. And then all of a sudden, everything just stopped, and I was at home, and I was like, "Wow, sleep is actually a thing." And so, it was great. The whole sleeping in, the eating food, and it was really great. And then it was just like, then my mind, and it was just mental breakdown. It was a time to be alive.
Yes, I agree.
I hope that was a good explanation.
Yeah, I think that pretty much summed it up for all of us, really.
Yeah.
Okay. I try. Yeah.
Schoolwork, kind of doing something. I did a few workouts, trying to be fit.
I got into abs. I started doing abs, and then I got a job at Chick-fil-A, and the abs went away because they gave us free food.
I worked out one day, and then I felt productive for the rest of the time, just because I worked out a single day.
Well, for the dance classes I did go to, that was my productivity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, see,
Zoom dance, the connection is not there.
Yeah, because over quarantine, like before that, I had quit dance because like A, it was kind of like I didn't really fit in there, and B, I was just getting burnt out on it. So I hadn't worked out in a long time, so I gained a little weight, which took me a little while to reconcile with, but now I'm just like, I'm just fluffy, who cares,
I love that word!
So yeah, it took me a while to reconcile with that, and then since I go back and forth between parents' houses, that kind of like satisfied my need to get out of the house. But like, since I'm a homebody anyway, but
oh yeah, hate outside, hate it with passion.
Yeah, so and things that got me through quarantine are just I see. Okay, I don't want to use the term hyperfixate because I don't know if I have ADHD or not, but I very, very big fan of fictional characters, and then I got into Star Wars over quarantine, so now I'm very deeply in that fandom. I've been in Marvel. I've always been in Marvel, and Lord of the Rings. So those things have gotten me through quarantine, and then I got a lightsaber, so that was cool.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I really want one. I'm not gonna lie.
Yes, you
Just
should get
knowing that
one.
Lydia has one makes me want one more.
Everyone, everyone, if you're listening, get that lightsaber. I mean it.
Yeah.
It'll be good for
Some
the
impulsive
economy.
buys are worth it.
It'll be good for the economy.
All right, so
I
Yeah.
need money.
shifting to obviously the big hitter that I think jump started all of our paths to today would be George Floyd, the very tragic death of a lovely man, and the protests that followed that shook the whole world. Can we talk about how
Mhm.
inspirational that is? Like,
Yes.
the whole world is now
Certainly.
seeing this for what it is, and the whole world is now standing up for Black Lives Matter or, racial injustice and
Took them long enough.
police brutality. I know,
Yeah, it
right?
took them 400 years.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and, like I personally can say, like, before that, I knew, like, I was aware of, like, systemic racism, but I wasn't, like, truly aware of it. Like, I knew it was there. I didn't know how truly bad it was until, like, I realized how really bad it was through this. And, like, the whole defund the police movement, at first I was like, huh, but then now I'm, like, all for it. Like, yeah.
Mhm.
It
Yeah.
definitely exposed a lot of different aspects of just how bad and how deeply rooted systemic racism is. Like,
Mhm.
honestly, the start of like my education on racism started with like the shooting of Michael Brown, and I think that was back in 2014. But it wasn't
Mhm.
until like 2020 when I realized like, oh, we like need to learn different things about just how messed up the justice system truly is, and like what defunding the police really truly means, and
Mhm.
just all those different aspects.
Yeah.
It's all about Black history, which you won't learn about in school. So my
Mhm.
parents, they made it a point to educate me outside of school because that's the only way um, kids of color are going to learn about their history because
Right.
school, like education in school, is so whitewashed. So like
Yeah.
everything I learn outside of school. So like I've always known about these issues, but it's so annoying because my classmates wouldn't even know unless I was the one to tell them about certain things, and it always made me
Yeah.
uncomfortable in class
Hmm.
because
Yeah.
Black History Month, most of the time they just skip over, but unless
Mhm.
and when they don't, it's just okay. Slavery happened, then Lincoln became president, and everything was all good, but it wasn't. Like that's not what happened at all, and
Mhm.
you need to actually understand. Like there needs to be more that you need to understand, like the full scope of the history, not just okay. They were taken from Africa and they were made slaves, and this is where we are now.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I feel
And
like
Yeah.
that's the biggest issue.
Yeah.
Black history didn't start with slavery.
Mhm.
Right.
Black
It did
history
Right.
not.
started thousands of years ago
It
in like amazing societies in Africa and groups and like actual like people think that it just started with slavery and it didn't just start with it. Black history didn't start with slavery and it didn't end with Martin Luther King Jr. and his,
Right.
march and
Mhm.
stuff. And I
I
Yeah.
think
mean,
that's what people
Black history is world history.
Mhm.
And people
exactly.
don't you don't learn about that in world history.
I
And I'll
know.
say for me it was even more difficult because my dad is white, my dad is from Scotland, my dad's an immigrant, and my mom is an African American woman from Valdosta, Georgia. Shout out to Valdosta, Georgia. Um but like for me, like Kennedy said, her parents made sure to educate her on those points, but for me I didn't really get that, to be honest, because even though I am mixed, I'm learning about European history and I have a European father. So that was kind of it, and I pieced the rest together for myself
Hmm.
through my
Mhm.
unfortunately keen observation skills. And I've always kind of known this is just how it is, and I've never been comfortable with this is just how it is. So I've
Mhm.
always, taught myself certain things. And I think I was lucky enough to have certain teachers that went outside the books to
Oh
say,
yeah.
like, hey, this is what the state wants you to know for the exam, but this is what actually happened, and this is more to the story than what we're gonna have to teach you. So we're gonna spend time on this and discuss this.
Yeah, and the sad thing is, I feel like most Black students know more about Black history than actual teachers do, and that is an
Mhm.
Yeah,
actual that is
that's a
a real
problem.
disappointment. It's an issue. It's a very big issue,
Yeah,
and
certainly.
I feel like it's hard not to, because usually in my experience, like before I moved here, I was like maybe one of two Black kids in an entire school, not just a class. So it's obvious, like when we get to that month, it's like, you're in class and everyone's just looking at you because you're the only
Mhm.
Black person, you're the only one who really knows about it, and it makes you get this uncomfortable feeling. I remember once I was in elementary school, and part of one of our projects was tracing back where everyone was supposed to be. So everyone in the class like had all their dots in Europe and everything, and I was that one lone dot in Africa, and it was just like the physical representation of the difference between me and everyone else, and it was
Mhm.
it's
Mhm.
just like that resonates with you. And like some teachers try to go
Yeah,
out of the way to make you not feel uncomfortable, but like it's impossible not to when you're like one of
yeah.
like the only person of color in an entire classroom.
And like tying that back into 2020, it's like
Mhm.
I feel like 2020 is finally, even if some change isn't being made that we want, I feel like finally people of color have at least a bit more of a voice and platform to speak about Black history and what it means to be Black in America and, the culture and stuff. And like the Black Lives Matter movement has to keep going until everybody, sees people of color equally. And I feel like it's been a really painful year, especially for like I have people of color who are my friends and they're like, I don't like it's not my job to educate you on Black history. And I felt like that was really powerful. Like it's not Black people's jobs to make change. It's everybody's job to help cultivate understanding and respect and equality. And I think that's maybe 2021 can bring that better into our society in America. So yeah.
2020 taught us all those things and a lot more, obviously. But it also showed us who's willing to be educated and who's not.
Who
So
just
like
wants to debate with you over the facts?
the next thing I have is like interactions with our so-called friends on this type of stuff. Us
Whew.
being 17, 18, 16, however old we are, we're in high school, we're almost adults. You'd think that people would be willing to admit at some point that they may be wrong and that they have something that they don't know. But obviously that's not the case. So how were those interactions with you? Because mine was pretty dramatic.
Ooh, let me tell you.
Well, I
Wait,
um,
wait, wait. Before you start, Lydia, I think what's interesting to point out before we start each of our points of view of the like discussions we had, I think there's a really interesting difference between discussions between two white people,
yes.
between people of color, and between a person of color and a white person. And I think that's a really interesting thing we can talk about. But you go ahead and start, Lydia.
I was gonna say something about that. So the guy I was talking about in the other episode, the one that Kennedy knows about,
Oh, tea talk.
so
Okay.
so okay. He, like I said, was a family friend. I always knew he was, on the other side of the political spectrum, So I knew this whole movement was gonna be like a little bit of a rough patch for like, that. So I remember one time I posted something about, how Blue Lives Matter is not actually a rallying cry for police. At the end of the day, police can take off their uniforms, and how it's actually just a movement that's to counteract the Black Lives Matter movement, and it's very deeply rooted in racism. And he responded to that, and he was like, "Can I debate you on this?" And I was like,
Why do they always say that? Why do they all say the same thing? Like, is that just the racist response? Is that what it is? Is that the template? do they have this laid out? Is there a website I don't know about?
It's like,
Literally,
can you please just educate me on your opinion? Say that. Don't be like, can I debate over this issue and show you that I'm right
exactly.
and you're wrong? Like, that is not okay.
The heck?
Or like, let me play devil's advocate. I'm like, shut up.
Yes,
You're
they
like
always
so
say that.
stupid. I'm
I'm
like,
trying to
Yeah,
cover this up.
exactly. Like so we went back and forth for a really long time. He sent me some BS statistics from Ben Shapiro, and
What?
what?
and so
No.
and then he sent me like then he told me he's like I have black friends that agree with me, and I was like they
Oh,
Oh
no,
No, no,
they
no,
not
no,
that
no,
excuse. No,
no.
you know,
no,
they
no.
probably agree with you because they don't want to get lynched, bro. So literally, we went back and forth about all of this, and for the longest time, he kept bringing back that he doesn't like. He kept quoting Ben Shapiro. He was like Ben Shapiro said, I don't think it's a crime to be black in America. And so it got to the point where I was so angry. And I was like, we should not be debating this. We are two white people. You need to go out, find another
God.
black person who's not who's
Send
not
him my way.
yeah, I was
Yeah,
like, we
for
need
real.
to, I kept saying, I was like, we need to not be debating this. We're both white people. This is not my place. I'm only echoing what black people are telling me, but you need a black person to tell you this. And he proceeds to tell me, he was like, well, isn't it racist that you're saying I can't say something because of the color of my skin? And I was like, bro,
Oh my god, the stupidity!
I was
I'm
like,
sorry. You can bleep that out. I'm sorry.
I'm not taking that out. I don't even care.
no, but it just it got to the point where I was like, hey, I was at someone's house at the time, and they had to like write a message for me, and I pretended to have black relatives, and I was like, I have black relatives, they're telling me all this, they live in fear, and then I just sent that message and I blocked him, and I was done with it because he was not budging.
We're not
Yeah.
exposing names, correct? Yes.
It's okay.
Yeah.
We could.
I'll backtrack. I'll no, no.
You do not.
Okay,
I'll
never mind.
backtrack. I'll
I,
backtrack
I
and
was
say
just gonna play
these
devil's
people.
advocate.
Oh, that was good. I'm gonna give you credit for that one. I'm gonna backtrack and say these people are not stupid. Okay,
Yeah,
they're just ignorant.
they're
Yeah.
just indoctrinated.
Extremely stubborn and privileged, and they
Yeah,
don't want to
like
recognize their privilege because I'll tell you what, because that makes them
wrong.
more responsible for their non-success, all right? That's
Exactly.
something they don't want to address is that if I started ahead of a black person and a black person is doing better than I am, that means I am a failure. And that is how society has failed white people to think that they need to be better than a black person to be successful.
Yeah.
Because no, you don't. But your privilege comes with some perks that you need to recognize. And if they were to recognize that, that makes them feel like they have failed.
Maybe if
Yeah,
they learned more about actual history, they'd understand why they had said privilege and why they were made to believe that way. But that's a
Exactly.
and
Yep.
But
topic.
I just
why would they the thing I figured out is why would they spend time trying to figure out something that benefits them or that does not concern them at the very very least. They don't have to spend that time doing it. They don't have
mhm.
to, but
Exactly.
they
And
should.
they don't have
And
to have certain conversations that people of color have to
exactly.
have, which we can get
Yeah.
on in
Exactly.
a minute. We can get on
Which
that in
is a
a minute.
privilege in and of
Yeah.
itself.
Exactly.
And I've had some interesting conversations with white people in my family, and they're like, I don't have white privilege. You don't have white privilege, Abby. You've struggled, we've been poor, which is all true. I have struggled. We have been poor. We have had problems. But that's not what white privilege is saying. White privilege is not saying that you can't have problems, that you can't struggle, that you can't have a bad life. White privilege is saying that negative consequences in your life aren't happening because of your skin color. They're saying that because you aren't black, so you well, how do I word this? Because you're white, you're not going to have adversities because of your skin color, and that's what white privilege is. It's not
Yeah.
that it's not saying that white people just never go through anything hard. White people always have it easier than everyone else. Well, That's a wait a minute. Wait a minute. But it's not saying that. I'm so sick of them saying, well, we go through hard things all the time. We've struggled. We've been poor. We've been this, and this. And I'm like, that's
Exactly.
Right.
That's the issue. People need to understand that white privilege doesn't automatically means economic privilege. That's
Right.
Yeah.
not
That's
the
not the point.
basis of what white privilege
Mm,
is. It's literally it's the fact that in some cases, like say you're going up for a job. So say your name is Jackson, you'll have a better chance of getting that job than someone named Devonte. It's literally it's just it like people need to understand it doesn't have to be about economics. It's about people being judged immediately
right.
based on what they look like.
Mm-hmm.
and that's what they people think that they're being when people say you have white privilege, they immediately think that I'm white and I'm being judged. When white privilege means that it's actually people of color who are being judged and not you because you're white. And it has a negative connotation. Nobody wants to a lot of people have trouble admitting that they might have it easier than someone else because everybody goes through hard things. And I think this
Right.
year, 2020 specifically, it has really shown the people who are willing to admit that, yeah, I go through some sucky crap all the time, but it's not because I'm black and I don't have to be scared of the police more than any other person. Like everybody's
Right.
a little bit anxious around police, but I don't have to be scared for my life with police. I don't have to be scared to go outside and to have, a toy Nerf gun and be scared that a police is going to pull up and shoot me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to be scared that my kids are going to be um, harassed at school for their skin color and cause them to commit suicide. I don't have to be scared about that. And I think
Mm,
it's ridiculous that white people cannot admit that when they know they don't have to be scared of that. And I'm just so sick of it when people just, this year, they can't even admit it. In 2020,
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's
right.
because there needs to be a change in the way parents are teaching their kids. They need to
Yep.
tell them, okay, these are the issues that are happening. They can't like brainwash them. It's like Christopher Columbus, like teaching kindergarteners that he came over and he brought all this new stuff and it was all perfect
Yeah.
and happy. But then
Mm-hmm.
not until high school actually telling them, okay, Christopher Columbus was a pretty bad person. He killed a bunch
Yeah.
of people, took land from every Indian, basically took out an entire indigenous people. It's like you can't keep
Exactly.
brainwashing your kids, like letting them look through rose-colored glasses. Because if the
Hmm.
sooner they understand what the issues are, the sooner they are taught who like to not be, I guess, like to like understand their privilege and understand what they have and understand how they should actually be treating people. That's when a real change is going to happen.
Yeah, and coming off of that, like at our school, and like even then, when they teach us that Christopher Columbus was bad, they still have to add in the factor
It's
of,
so,
oh,
yeah.
well, form your own opinion about it. Like I had a class, me and
No.
Kyle had a class. You know what I'm talking
Yep.
about.
Yeah, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
She was a good teacher. It's just I know the curriculum makes them do this. We had to
Yeah.
debate if Christopher Columbus was a hero or a villain, and one kid in the class, I won't name, literally said he was a hero, and
please name.
I won't.
No, no, we're good to go. Yeah, so these interactions are things that need to happen more for sure, and they should happen from an earlier age than us sitting in juniors in high school in American history debating whether or not a racist who dominated and destroyed an entire group of people is a good person.
Yeah, and
Obviously,
Kennedy
that's for sure.
Kennedy had a good point that I never actually thought about. In elementary school, you're not taught when you're taught history. You're taught, hey, Christopher Columbus came over here and he interacted with the Indians, and they tell you the nice encounters he had and the nice encounters that all the colonists had with the
If he
Indians.
had any.
If well, there were
Wait,
some, but I don't think it
remember,
was
Were
guys,
there?
most.
remember we should be saying indigenous people or Native Americans.
Did I not? Oh my
Yep.
god, I'm so sorry. Did I say?
No, it's okay. It was a mistake, but I just want to make sure we say that.
Yep.
Yes.
So
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't
Good.
know if I said that. I'm so sorry. Oh my god.
Okay,
Do you
no, it's
see how
Yeah.
okay.
easy
It
that
doesn't mean
was? Do you
what?
see how easy that
you see
correction
how
was?
easy that was?
See how
Yeah.
Yeah.
flawless that was?
Um. but and now being a junior in high school and you start taking American history, and it's like, hey, this is everything that happened to these indigenous people or these Native Americans. This is every there were revolts against the colonists, and there were all this stuff, and they were still made out to be the ones at
The
fault because they
villains.
weren't just taking the colonization. Um, and I had a teacher that, I'm lucky I had her because I really think that she believed that, the colonists were on the bad side of history, that she provided um, resources that showed that. But you don't see that until you're a junior in high school. And I think that's just wrong that you aren't exposed to the topic, because you look at it now, you're like, wow, these are the literal torture devices that they administered to slaves in slavery when they didn't comply with what their masters said. This is everything that happened. And while I'm like, you don't need to tell kindergartners that this is the torture devices that were used, but I feel like it should be exposed to them that, hey, Christopher Columbus wasn't all good. Colonizers weren't
Exactly.
all
And
good.
you
Yeah,
You're getting 9 years of misinformation. That's 9 years of
exactly.
you not knowing the truth. And
Yeah, and like,
Until you get to about, I'd say now when they start actually going into depth and stuff, it's the same history curriculum every single year.
yeah,
It's
like,
repeated over and over and over. It's just the same stuff drilled into your brain. And
indoctrinating us.
Okay, so I'm gonna shift.
okay,
Yeah,
sorry.
because we want to talk
oh
about
Because
wait, hold
2020.
up. Let me bring.
because this
Wait,
is
can I
a 2020 review episode.
hold up? Can I bring up one? Oh goodness.
1492, Columbus sailed the ocean blue.
Yeah, we did a throwback episode to
Yeah, yeah. A little
1492.
rewind, a little history lesson for you guys as well. Anyway, so back to 2020. Now that we've covered our issues with the education system, which we will definitely delve into for a whole new episode, we lost a lot of heroes in 2020.
Oh goodness.
Oh, don't make me
We
cry.
lost
Don't
what
make
what what hurts. All right, we're gonna go over it quick.
me. Okay.
We what struck me the most is how we lost a lot of African American heroes, a lot of civil rights heroes, a lot of feminist heroes.
Yeah.
We lost the notorious RBG.
Uh,
We lost John Lewis. We lost Kobe Bryant
Mhm.
oh, don't forget his
and
daughter. Don't forget his daughter.
his daughter, and we lost Chadwick Boseman.
Uh,
Oh,
That one hurted.
may I go into the Chadwick Boseman thing?
Oh, Lydia, you're Marvel. Oh
Yeah.
no.
May
Yeah,
I,
wait,
may
I
I,
want to talk about it after Lydia
may
too.
I have a brief memento?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much. So, yes, I remember that day very vividly. And actually, how I found out was through Kennedy.
I was
Years
heartbroken.
and boy, was I heartbroken. I remember I saw yours was the first message at the top of the screen. I had 80 other messages, trust me, but yours was the first one. And I literally, okay, I had just got done crying over a movie, and I walk upstairs to go get my phone, and I look at my phone, and I immediately had a panic attack. I was like, wait, this is not happening. So I go down the stairs, I'm like hyperventilating, and my mom is like, what just happened? And I was like, so Chadwick died, and then I start bawling my absolute eyes out. Like, number one, um, like my family, okay. So I've had like a weird family life. So I got into Marvel. Marvel was kind of like my family, like the actors, the characters, my family. And then when this happened, it was devastating because it felt like I lost a family member. And I was a mess for a long time, but it hurt me a lot more because people kept posting those videos of, how they did, I think it was Jimmy Fallon, how they had a poster of the Black Panther and they had African American people come in and talk about how like much of a inspiration he was to them, and he'd go out and hug them. Like, people kept posting that, and it kept reminding me, oh my god, like, this is this is not good. Like we just lost a huge icon, and it was rough. It was rough.
Yeah. And can I go?
Yeah,
I
go
Yes.
ahead.
um I think the this ties into him, Chadwick Boseman. The first time I ever really saw racism was when the Jackie Robinson movie came out, and I think I was maybe 10 or something, and my older or my I think my grandma took me to see the movie, and Chadwick was Jackie Robinson, and I remember seeing this man play this character so beautifully. He was such a powerful yet gentle soul in all of his acting. It was just and seeing that movie made me such a huge fan of him, but it also taught me as a white person what black people went through. I was still young, so I hadn't really learned about it yet, which is sad. I should have known more by that age. But I think Chadwick did so much for creating space for people of color in art. And he's always been one of my favorite actors and one of the people who really encouraged me to get into acting and theater. And seeing him die, it was just
It was so sudden.
sudden, and it just felt like a light was gone or something. Someone who had done so much for so many people. And I think he'd be really proud of everyone today who's trying to, you know, elevate and give room to voices of people of color and trying to make legislation that helps. And he was just an amazing example that, Black people are amazing. They can do amazing things. They're talented, they're worthy, and they're loved. So that was
Yeah.
just hard to see him go.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think Black Panther was a groundbreaking film, obviously. Um, I think it shifted a lot of the theatrical attention to Black people and Black excellence and Black greatness. Um, and obviously, all of us were hard hit by that because we're so young, and some of us aren't as familiar with what other people who passed in 2020 had done. But for me, um, watching John Lewis's funeral on TV, I was obviously very sad because for me being more into politics and civil rights and the work that we started doing in 2020, watching his funeral was so much more like a celebration, than a tragic funeral because obviously 2020 was a bumpy ride for all of us and those of us that know obviously went through personal loss even before coronavirus lockdown. So I was kind of over all the sadness. I'm not going to lie. I'm still over all the sadness. I don't do sad. It's not my vibe. I fight sadness very actively. But watching John Lewis's funeral was like a teaching moment for me almost. It was like a second inspiration, which with Barack Obama speaking and all that stuff. And I think I realized in that moment that that loss was, more of a rallying cry, just like it was for RBG.
Hmm.
Her passing was like so powerful for so many people to come together. And I think it's incredible the impact that these people had in their while they were alive and then in their passing. The impact that they had on so many people that when they pass, it's not it is a mourning, like it's very sad, but at the same time all of these people that passed inspired a new wave of excitement, of motivation, of change. And I think it's incredible the power that they had and the inspirations that all of them were. Chadwick Boseman, RBG, John Lewis, Kobe Bryant, all of them. The power. the influence, and just through their work and their dedication to other people, they have inspired the very people that they were trying to help.
Period.
Yes.
Oh my
Yeah.
god.
So yeah, I
Okay,
feel like I want to cry
why?
now.
Yeah.
God.
All right, so let's
Yeah.
shift it. Let's go again. Let's
Okay.
spin the top.
Maybe we could talk about like
I got
the
you.
mental health of
2020 was
2020.
very sad.
Yeah.
Mental health obviously plummeted. Online school did not help.
Ugh.
But
Ugh.
you know what else came out of 2020? Sustainable Sisters Project.
Oh,
Oh,
true.
Woohoo!
so beautiful.
I love how all of us is like, what?
What came out of
We're like,
2020? I don't know.
it was good.
Just
Is it my lower
unimaginable pain and
GPA?
loss.
Yeah.
Mine went up.
I was gonna have a lower GPA regardless of this year.
Oh my
I
gosh.
finally hit
So
my goal for the GPA. You know what? What happened in 2020 that was good. I hit my goal for my GPA. And I'm only
Yes.
in my junior
Yay.
year. I have an entire
good.
year and a semester left.
Yes.
But also, some people, that's great, Riley. But it's okay if you guys have, like, people who are listening who haven't had
Yeah,
any
it's
good
perfectly understandable.
experiences.
Like, the circumstances were not on our
Yeah.
side.
Oh,
Like,
definitely not.
personally, I made some really crappy choices. I had a lot of struggle. I was hurting, still healing, well, trying to heal. And maybe Sustainable Sisters Project, listening and hearing us and hearing teenagers just be honest, being themselves, will help you heal maybe a little bit or help you see things differently
And you know,
in
I've seen
2021.
everyone. A lot of teens our age are in the same place. We're all struggling a lot. Um,
Mm.
but everybody. I feel like everybody got worse with the mental health issues, and like Kyle
Yeah.
said, the online school wasn't helping because a lot of teachers don't know how to adjust.
Yeah.
Huge shout out to any of the teachers who did know what they were doing and did their best to help their students, because I will be eternally grateful to you. I'm sure everyone on this
Yeah,
podcast will be eternally grateful to
for
you.
Mhm.
sure.
Anybody who's listening. But shout out to those teachers.
Teachers
But
teachers did not get enough credit.
they
Even
did
the
not.
ones that struggled, they did try.
Yeah.
Every single
They did
teacher
try.
was a
I will say
frontline
that
worker.
every
Yeah.
Yes.
teacher found a way to get through. Some of them were more effective than the
Yeah.
other ones, but
Personally, I
kudos to
cried over a
teachers.
couple assignments, but you know those teachers.
I
Yeah.
feel that. I feel
Yeah, I'm sure we all I bet you the teachers cried over the assignments as well.
that.
Like,
Oh,
"I
I bet
I hope
you.
this is okay. I don't know."
I bet
Yeah.
you.
What am I doing wrong? I'm trying to teach.
I
Yeah.
think I think 2020 hit me with, like, my first academic burnout. Like, I was burnt out.
Yeah.
And
Well,
Same.
it
I've never.
wasn't even last year, it was this year. It was this first semester into the winter, and I'm sitting here like, "No, no, no,
Like,
no,
what is the
no,
point of
it's
any of
over.
this?
My life is
Yeah.
over.
Junior
Like,
year.
no, this is not it." But, Sustainable Sisters Project kept me going, but it was also kind of a distraction because I love doing this so much
Yeah.
more than I love doing calculus.
Oh,
And trying to do my calculus homework was not the best
It's
thing
not
in the
even
world.
calculus homework. It's calculus teaching yourself. What are you
All
talking
right,
about?
all right, all right. We'll save that for another sob story. Save that
ah,
later. So I think we're gonna hit the grand finale at this point. All of you who are listening were there for 2020 and the madness that was 2020. We are so proud of you for making it through to 2021,
Woo,
and hopefully
Yeah.
you handled 2020 enough to
a
kind of
round
make
of
2021
applause.
better. Good job to you. We're all gonna
Pat
get
on
through
the
this.
back.
Yep. Keep moving. Keep hustling.
y'all
We
got
all got it.
this.
Yeah. So the
Take
grand
your step.
finale, of course, being spoiled by my earlier introduction that failed.
Uh huh. Yep.
My bad, my bad. The presidential election and the controversy obviously leading to January 6th, which we will cover in the next episode of Mixed
Yeah.
Messages.
Oh
Yeah.
Lord.
Don't worry, we will be getting into those fits we talked about. I think what's actually scary about what the election brought up is how many people in America have now voted for Donald J. Trump. How many people in America
You
are
cannot go back from that
radicalized,
ever.
radicalized
Mhm.
by this
So
one man.
surprised from those election results. Honestly, I
Yeah.
was hoping that this year there would be like way, way less votes for Donald Trump, but come to
Mhm.
find out that we were like 50-50.
Yeah.
I
And
was so
his
surprised.
votes went up.
I
His
know,
vote
Exactly.
numbers went
yeah.
up.
It was just, it was a scary feeling knowing that many people felt that way.
I I I,
Yeah.
I quote about it a lot.
You quote.
Well,
Quote,
Quote?
quote.
Can we talk about how Trump's now banned from literally every social media site there
I
is?
love it. I love it.
Yes,
I love it.
literally,
Yeah.
I
What
posted a
was
Oh my
pre-recorded
god.
video on my story of someone refreshing Trump's page and then it going to like deleted and then someone put Party Rock Anthem over it. It's my
Mhm.
Oh
favorite
my
thing ever.
god.
So
Wait, was
here's
he banned
here's
from
Yes.
OnlyFans?
here's
Yes.
what I want to say. This is the one thing I want to say.
Oh,
If you support Trump,
Uh,
that's you do you,
get
okay?
off the
I don't
podcast.
agree with your opinion, but I respect your opinion. If you support
I
Biden,
don't.
you do you, okay?
it was a choice.
Personally, I think the government is just null and void in general. But I will say that a president being impeached twice and removed from all social media sites really says something. And
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think we should all take a moment to look at that.
Bro,
Internalize that
if
within
you need a
yourself.
parent lock, if you need a parent lock on your social media, what makes you think you're fit to be the president of the United States?
Exactly.
Excuse me?
Just a
Yeah.
thought. Food for thought.
See, okay, like my dad is a boomer, but he's a good boomer. Um,
I love your dad
Paradox.
so much.
Paradox.
Thank you. Oh my god. But yeah, he is very very liberal, and I'm very appreciative of that because I am LGBTQ. So, anyways, so he on his Facebook page, his friends, quote quote, who are so conservative. We sit there and we laugh at their posts for a long time, but we get like an insider look on what they think, and it's kind of scary. I'll be honest. Like,
But
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's not every election year that you see people dancing in the streets with like, you know.
Joy.
Yeah.
yeah,
I
Yeah.
mean, really,
Yeah.
guys, that says something. That says something. I also like as scary as it is that so many people are in our opinion on the wrong side of things and need to get their heads together and believe that
objectively
everybody deserves equal rights, I guess. I don't know.
And
But
really just empathy.
there's
Empathy.
also so many people who are, excited about what Biden can do. Obviously, we need to continue to pressure them to get done what they say they will. But
yeah.
that him winning by the amount that he did, and of course Miss Stacey Abrams bringing through Georgia and all the other states that flipped from red to blue, that means something. That's a growth for America. That's change coming. I mean, it's one baby step, but the president not being a crazy racist is a step. Um, I mean, this just means that I think the presidential election did show personally me that the fight is not over. Like we had all that hype in the summer of 2020 and now it's definitely dwindled down, but I feel
Mhm.
like it it shows that what we're doing is right. We shouldn't stop
Yeah.
because we can't stop. We're going to run out of options in a minute and
Yes.
we might as well get a head start now. So
Yes.
I
And I
think
think,
us doing what we're doing is good.
yeah.
Yeah.
And
I also think, I think people haven't thought about this, but like when you've shown your support for Trump and said, like, people who say he's not a racist, who are like Trump fanatics, like after this election, I don't think people understand that things aren't going to go back to the way they were. Like, no
Exactly.
one is ever going to look at a Trump supporter the same way. And I feel
Right.
like that's something a lot of people have to come to terms with. Like, you showed your prejudice, you showed your racism, you showed your
Mhm.
homophobia in this election. You showed what kind of person you are and you are choosing to be. And I feel like it's going to be very hard for me to trust or look at someone I once thought was my friend who decided to support this man and be like,
Right.
okay, I can forgive you. Like it's going to take some time for people to heal from the things a lot of Trump supporters have said and are still doing in support
And
of
Yeah.
people.
there are some things that are factual that you can't deny. There
Yeah,
are some
exactly.
things that can be debated, but I know I said this in I think the last episode, but there are some things that are completely factual that cannot be debated, and some of the charges against him I think are proof enough
Mhm.
um, as to what that is. And I've heard views of many people. I've heard views that they like his policies, but not him as a person. I've heard views that are like, I'm voting Republican Party, and I think that's another huge issue that you're
Yeah.
voting via your party. Um,
Mhm.
because I feel like a bunch of people justified who Trump was so that they could continue to vote Republican. And I really feel that when you're voting for someone, you shouldn't be voting, hey, I support this party's beliefs, because it was funny. I found this thing. There was literally a thing from Trump that was like, if I were ever to run an election, it would be Republican because they will believe anything.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it's just that
He's just using
you can
them,
be
honestly.
deceived based on a person. And I really would like to say that I vote for who you want to vote for who you would believe in, but do not vote upon what their party's beliefs are,
Mhm.
because that might not
Exactly.
always be what theirs
Yeah.
are.
And if you
Right.
actually talk to some Republicans, like Trump supporters, they're Trumplicans. They're not
There
Republicans.
were
Like a lot of
Trumplicans. They're not
Yeah.
Republicans.
yeah, because Republicans, like a lot of them, are extremely embarrassed by Donald Trump and
Right.
everything he has caused. So it's
Mm.
like there's a difference between a Republican and a Trumplican. There's like
Yeah.
A Trumpy, if you may.
a Trumpy, yes.
There are some like actual Republicans that, though I don't agree with some of their stuff, they are good people.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah,
definitely believe that there's a difference between a Republican and a Trumplican.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. I think he's radicalized an entire group of people who felt like they
Really,
were outcasts. What's
Yes,
Yeah.
crazy is that
fed
those people
ready.
feel like
and
they were
it's
outcasts, but are still racist towards black
This
people.
is what
honestly, it's
he fed on all of those beliefs that those people were told to put down because it wasn't socially correct to say any of those things. And he fed on that and he used that to create all these people who now
Mhm.
think it's okay to act racist and rude and
Mhm.
prejudiced toward people who don't deserve it, who have had to
Exactly.
hide the way they felt for the past 8 years
Mhm.
with Obama, who have just decided to, like, it's just erupted to this point because it
Yeah.
never really went away. They just chose to hide it because they didn't want to be ostracized or judged. But now they have this man who was in office who's like, it's okay to say all these things. It's okay to act
Mhm.
this way. It's okay to be violent and rude and make people fear you just because you're white. Like racist, he's basically saying racist
Yeah.
beliefs are okay, and it's okay to
Yeah.
act that way towards people. And he fed on that, and that is why that is how he got all of those people to become such fanatics when it came to supporting him.
Mhm.
I mean,
and honestly,
a modern white supremacist Hitler is kind of
Exactly, is what
Yeah.
it is. That's exactly what
and
it is.
it's honest, it's really sad because not just Trump, but him, Mitch McConnell, Betsy DeVos, Ted Cruz, they have taken a huge group of people that they know are ignorant, that they know are in, specifically in a lot of like southern states in areas that are poor. They have weaponized them and um, their own problems in their communities and made Black people, Black Lives Matters, gay people as the problem. That's
Mhm.
why these poor white people, these poor uneducated white people are having the problems they are. And this group of people have weaponized these poor Republican white people into these radicalized, hateful, and really dark and dangerous group of people. And it's
Mhm.
really sad because they are of course, every person has a choice and they choose, and there's no excusing that. But Trump knew these people were uneducated. He knew these people weren't happy necessarily with a lot of Obama's things that they did, which they have the choice. They have the choice to not agree with what every president does. But in 2020, it's really showed us that or not Republicans, but politicians are weaponizing groups of people that they know are easy to manipulate for their own political gain. And it's really sad and really disgusting to see these people who maybe even 10 years ago were just Republican, not necessarily racist, but now they are these radicalized, dark, hateful, just disgusting, like terrible group of people. And I think what we've learned in 2020 is that there's going to be a lot of healing that has to start, and we have to definitely start with kids and the public education system. And also, like, this year has also taught us that Black women kind of make the world go round.
Oh,
Yep.
Period.
Yeah,
But
so that's
back
what
to
I have
what
to say.
Abby was saying about like them weaponizing them, they literally brought back the idea that hey, even if you're poor or uneducated, at least you're white. At least
Yeah.
you have that.
And
That is
I
what they did.
and see, to get political, Republicans are the ones making them poor. So
Oh,
Yeah,
shoot.
The
Yeah,
irony.
on that note, we're gonna just leave it there.
Woohoo!
want to say,
On
I
to
want
the
to
next
say
thing.
one last thing at the end of this
Yep.
podcast. I encourage everyone to go out and talk to someone you wouldn't normally talk to because, like I said, I know Republicans that are good people. I know Democrats that are good people. Some people don't know exactly what their beliefs entail. And I think a great way to really solve this rift that's in between the country that's in our country is to talk to someone. If you're a Democrat, go talk to a Republican, share your beliefs, don't argue about your beliefs. I just want people to share their beliefs and why they believe in that. If you're a Republican, talk to a Democrat, do the same thing because I really think it's important to share what we believe in. I think that's a great step that we could take in order to help the political divide that we have in the country right now.
I know it's certainly difficult for me to do that.
yeah, same.
Not because someone's Republican or Democrat, but because of some of the core issues that people like to consider politics that are
Yes,
not
that's
politics. The
And
issues
that's
that
that's
I'm
people
concerned
as
about,
well.
I think the issues that most of us are concerned about, the issues that we on this podcast are concerned about, are not political issues. They require policy.
yes,
That's all. They
yeah,
require policy. That's the only reason we need politicians to get our things done because
yeah,
we
and
apparently cannot live an equal life without an equal policy.
yeah. Like I agree. Like it's not politics, but they've turned it into politics. So
Yeah.
that's what makes it the worst part. Yeah.
Taking
That's when you
people's
start to get
rights
people.
away is not
Yeah.
politics.
And
Right.
that's the whole point. Like they believe beliefs that shouldn't be politics and shouldn't be debated upon. But yes.
Well, I think we're gonna leave it there.
Okay.
That was pretty good, guys.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you guys
Thank
for
you.
coming on this episode. Thank you guys for listening to this episode. You guys can follow us on Instagram at Sustainable Sisters Project and follow us on Twitter at Sustainable Sis7. We will see you guys in the next episode.
And thank you, Mom. Shout out to you for watching.